caldera in Yellowstone to completely explode, or a tidal wave on the east coast. Those would be big ones, and that would affect almost everybody in the country, everybody in the hemisphere, actually.
Yeah, good point. But give me some information on where I would start or what I would do to last me for at least, a month to 4 months. Give me some tips of the basics and what you would do to make that happen.
Well, my attitude is first and foremost, like I'd said before, would be a food and water source, and try and combine that with energy somehow, because like a lot of people utilize wells. You can count on municipal water and basically not be in there, because without electric you don't have pumps. So
Right.
that's where you would basically have to have an energy source on top of the fact if you have a well. But stockpile and long-term storage food, and with eventual plans of growing your own, would be optimal in that respect. And the other thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration is medicines. You know, antibiotics and all your major pharmaceuticals out there, for the most part, wouldn't be beneficial in that aspect, because they have a short shelf life. And there's a lot of natural medicines out there that people have to become acquainted to. It's been a blessing for us for the internet to have been created, because in essence all your answers are right at your fingertips. There's tens of thousands of sites on the internet that can give you all kinds of information and all kinds of ideas in creating your own energy, to storing water, to growing food. I mean, you name it, it's all right at your fingertips. And now's the time to utilize it, because when the grid goes down, and it will go down, the internet's not going to be an option. So first and foremost, what people have to take into consideration is, like I said, food and water. That at least gives you some chance of surviving until you can figure out what to do next.
Right, okay, but like I mentioned, going to Walmart or Sam's Club or whatever and buying water really wouldn't work out. So what are your other alternatives to getting clean drinking water?
Well, you can gather water and put it in the ground. There's a number of outlets. You can buy everything from collapsible water storage containers to have a contractor come in and build something in the ground for you too. And all it is running your gutters from your roof into that water supply, or into that storage unit. But
Actually,
it's
they're
pretty
called
costly.
cisterns. And
Yeah, cisterns.
in Australia, um, every house had a cistern, and the local government did not like that idea, so they gave people time limits, and they said, get rid of your cisterns and hook up to city water. And of course, once that happened, they started fluoridating the water, and that battle is going on right now. But now, with the advent of the fires outside of Sydney, and they're huge fires, um, the local citizens want the cisterns back because they can't rely on city water anymore.
Well, I wouldn't rely on city water basically anyway, in light of the fact that everything and anything under the sun seems to find its way into municipal water supplies. Just look at what they had in the news this past year about how many municipal water supplies were inundated with drugs and mercury and cyanide and you name it.
One
Get
of the
your own
biggest
water.
problems with city water is manganese. In
Mm,
Fresno, California, they have a huge problem with manganese. In On the south shore of Boston, they have a huge problem with manganese, and that's when the water turns brown. You know that's manganese in it.
right. There's a unit out there called the Berkey
Yeah.
filtration unit that pretty well serves the problem as far as filtering out things like manganese and other organic or inorganics that may be in the water. It gives you potable drinking water, and it's pretty affordable. Where you can actually take river water or pond water and filter it, and at least have water to drink. That might be some solution to consider.
Well, one of the problems with the major problem with a filtration system is that it starts to deteriorate in efficiency the first time you use it, and
Right.
it's just a matter of time before it becomes clogged with contaminants. And in order to clean them, you have to have a source of new filters or a way to clean the old one, and that becomes a problem even with the best of filters.
Right. Yeah, that's the good thing about a Berkey is that you can clean those elements off. But there's all kinds of filtration units you can get out there. That's what they call passive filtration. But most of your other filters, you basically need an energy source in order to operate them.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that really has to be considered if all government services are shut down, or public services and utilities are shut down, is protecting what you already have, and that would require at least having a firearm. That's kind of a tough thing to say or contemplate, but if your neighbor is breaking in your door to get some food or water, you've got to put a stop to it, because if you don't, it's you that's going to suffer.
Which would probably be likely to happen, but it is 17 minutes after the hour, and you're listening to The Cutting Edge live on DA Radio. And joining us now via Skype is Darko. Welcome, Darko. How's your evening tonight?
Nice, Delta. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
I'm glad to be here.
What a great time to join us. But now that you're here, and we're talking about survival and filtering water, well, Darko, since you own one, there's nothing like word of mouth. So tell us about your Berkey water filter.
Yes, I have a Berkey Light water filtration system, and there's different types of filters that you can get. I happen to have the regular filtration system along with the fluoride filters that go along with that. I've had it for about 6 months, and it's great. It was one of the best purchases and best decisions I've ever made.
Yeah, I've got to tell you,
clean and good tasting, great tasting water.
Yeah, I refuse to drink tap water by any means, but bottled water isn't really the great alternative either.
Well, bottled water isn't much different than city water. All it basically is filtered city water.
Yeah, I know. Or pee.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is I live in the Merrimack Valley of Massachusetts, and we get our drinking water from the Merrimack River, which has been polluted by the paper mills up north for, 150 years, and for some reason it's become potable now. It's hard to contemplate, but it's a fact.
You have no idea what they utilized to clean it up? It just happened naturally, or?
No, it didn't happen naturally. They're putting chlorine and different fractions of chemicals into the supply.
So you're basically back where you started from, contaminated water supply.
Right, exactly.
I'd say a lot of people aren't familiar with the idea that chlorine and fluoride are the combination of chemicals they utilize to make mustard gas.
Wow, no kidding.
Yes.
Say that again.
Chlorine and fluoride are two of the chemicals that they use to make mustard gas with.
Oh, I didn't know about fluorine for that.
Yeah.
I know fluorine is one of the it's an active ingredient in rat poison.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, basically, people drink fluoridated and chlorinated water. It's almost equivalent to taking a drop of gasoline a day.
Oh, the one thing you don't know about what goes into the fluoride that goes into the water is that it's not